Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. Please come into this tarot reading with an open heart and an open mind. Take only what resonates for you and release the rest. Please do trust your own intuition above all else. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. We're going to set the intention, though, to get you some clear, helpful, insightful messages wherever you are at on your spiritual path. All right, for Capricorn, let's do it. For Capricorn, what's coming up in the past? All right, so maybe something with a Cancer. You might quite literally be healing something with a Cancerian in your life. I mean, again, for a select few of you, there could literally be a healing journey about Cancer. In terms of, you know what I mean by that. I don't even have to say it. Okay. Saturn and then Neptune. Okay. What we need to release here. A lot of cards coming out. Ooh, Capricorn, you got messages. You need to move into. Yeah, cool. Really? With the 3 cards? I can't do that. We'll do one more. Okay. All right, let's do it. Interesting. Black Moon Lilith, bottom of the deck. I knew this card was going to come out in someone's reading because I kept getting signs and messages about it. And to be honest, I don't know a ton about Black Moon Lilith. So I kept getting this message of like, you better read up on that because you're going to need to tell them about it. So I'll tell you the little bit that I do know. It can, in its darker side, be kind of a revengeful energy. It's almost like, you know, I almost interpret it almost as like a more feminine version of Scorpio. Like if Scorpio is ruled by Mars and that's very masculine, this is almost like a more softer feminine energy of the same kind of domineering, extreme, powerful energy. I read something the other day about Black Moon Lilith where it's like, is it mania or is it self-realization? Because it can go to these depths of, again, kind of this seething, venomous, you know, take no prisoners. It's sort of, there's some mythology about, you know, seeking revenge on men specifically or appearing to them in dreams and sort of taking away their sexual energy. Like there's like an all-consuming feminine power, but I think it's been more modernized and now we're kind of looking at it as this extreme ability to transform people and situations, and maybe in some way there's almost like a self-sacrificial nature to it, but I think it has to happen in a healthy way where you're not losing yourself in the process. I don't know if that makes sense for any of you Capricorns. That's a little bit heavy. That's a little bit of depth. But anyway, I welcome and encourage you all to read up a little bit on Black Moon Lilith. It's showing up in the bottom of your deck, and you do have a card of Pluto in transformation. So, you know, that's going to be key for a lot of you. For a lot of my Capricorn risings, Pluto just went into Aquarius about a week ago. This is a huge, major, long, 20-something year transit. But for you, that's going to change up things in your financial sector. Also, how you show up for yourself, what you value, your self-worth, your self-esteem, what you value in life external to you as well as going through major transformations and change. Your money, it's on that axis of kind of like the Taurus Scorpio stuff too. So your own money and prosperity versus joint finances and things like that. So again, that's not something that's going to rush in immediately, but you are probably seeing breadcrumb trails about that sort of thing, with this major transit of Pluto. So here we go. In the past, again, possibly healing something with a Cancer, feeling something with, healing. It's funny I said feeling. That's very indicative of something. With a mother figure, healing your own issues regarding maternity or motherhood. Some of you may have gone through a journey in terms of trying to get pregnant or just the idea of starting a family, warming up to that idea, contemplating that idea, reflecting back on your own experience with your children, reflecting back on your experience with your childhood and with your own mother. There might be some deeper held feelings there that maybe you weren't necessarily wanting to look at. And with this Pluto transit, I'm just wanting to say we're digging deeper and starting to come to some sort of greater clarity and understanding. It's like you can finally see, right? With that Sagittarian energy, it involves sort of delving in with a higher mind and trying to see the forest from the trees. I think a lot of you were so in it with something or someone that maybe you lost your overall vision, you lost the overall sight of what was going on because it was so personal to you. Again, you were so in it, but with time, with space, with healing, I think you were achieving mastery over some sort of emotional thing that may have held you back. It felt like you were maybe clinging to it, but for others of you, it felt like a trap. It felt like a mental prison, like you couldn't release it, or you weren't able to heal it. That is shifting and that is changing. Yeah, I mean, your planet, Saturn, is showing up right in the middle, so you're starting to see a higher truth. Not necessarily taking and accepting everything at a surface level. Again, there's a fascination now with asking the greater questions. Why? Well, why? And well, where does this come from? And what is the actual root cause of it? And hold on, give me 1 second. I'm circling around a phrase here. I'm sort of hearing this idea of going to a healer or a professional of any kind, especially in terms of, like healing, medical, whatever. And it's like, it would be so easy just to give you the remedy or the solution or the medicine or whatever it is. But it's almost like we would be doing ourselves a disservice because we have to heal the underlying cause, like what initiated that response in your body or in your emotional realm, your emotional depths. It's like finding the source and treating that versus just like the surface level external manifestations of something. This may even have to do with money and finances, like money mindset, feelings of self-worth or something of the sort. For some of you, you're actually connecting with another Capricorn right now, and there's a mirroring. There's almost something, I'm hearing the word ominous or eerie, but not necessarily in like a spooky way. I mean, I guess sort of, but hear me out. You're connecting with a fellow Capricorn and your stories are so similar. It's very unnerving. It's almost, this isn't true for most of you, but it's almost like this: we were separated at birth and our timelines crossed and now we're meeting again. And there's like this holy, you know what? If it's, and again, that's like the rare exception that would actually be a story going on for some of you, but you may be connecting with siblings that you didn't know existed, or siblings from, again, previous marriages, or I don't know, someone who is maybe put up for adoption that is reaching out and contacting a family member. Again, that's a minority of you. If not that, it's just you're connecting with someone who is mirroring back a lot of your own, I'm going to be honest, I'm getting trauma, but in a way where they're creating a safe space for you to purge, to release, to reflect on it and understand what you no longer need to hold on to. It's like there's more comfortability with being able to release it and let it go because it's making space for more of the good stuff. A lot of you, again, with this kind of Scorpio, Lilith, Pluto type energy coming through. Look at you. Yeah, you have Scorpio too. I didn't even realize that. There is something about long-held resentment, long-held emotions, or just sort of this idea of, I don't mean to be funny, but as a metaphor, it's like the emotional constipation, things that weren't moving through your system. They've been there a long time, and the universe is saying it's time to let it go. You need to eliminate this, because what happens is when you hold on to grudges, negativity, resentment, or whatever it is, lack of self-love, low self-esteem, feeling like you're not deserving or good enough, what happens is that negativity, that mindset, that uncomfortable emotion, it manifests as illness in the body. And some of you saw that happen to either you or someone you know. And so now it's almost like it's your responsibility to do the healing work. And for some of you, I'm just getting this idea of, I'm hearing guardian angel. So maybe literally for some of you, others of you, it's a human being, right, in your life, and it feels heaven sent because there's some sort of reciprocal, mutual, hey, let's go in on this together. You may be joining some community or group, taking some sort of class or some sort of communal, like, let's talk about this together. Let's not make it this scary monster. Yeah, this is kind of a heavy reading, but it is in a beautiful way. And then you have Neptune, which is all about the greater spiritual healing. It says sacrifice. What are you being asked to sacrifice? For some of you, you're being asked to sacrifice something you don't need anymore, but many of you built your identity around it. And so there's a struggle in some sense to let it go, even though you know it's not good for you, or you don't even want to live your life that way anymore, or be with that person, or experience those things, like relive the trauma. The universe is saying you can let this go. You don't need it. And again, it's not about begrudging it or being like, why me? Why did this have to happen? Because ultimately it has made you who you are today. And it's not that you deserved it or anything was owed to you. It's not necessarily coming into me as like, you had negative karma, but more or less you did sign up for this spiritual path in this lifetime. And so some of you, it's like, yeah, you're clearing out the karma, or you are working through major situations that did present you with a lot of obstacles. And there's something here about choosing yourself, but you're choosing the higher version of yourself. There's light and dark in all of us. And rather than, for a lot of you, it's like you were ignoring the shadow. You weren't letting it come into the light. You weren't acknowledging the stuff that went down because it was easier to almost like, I'm hearing like nervous system dysregulation, right? Kind of a keyword term right now in psychology, but it was easier not to address it because it triggered so much in you. It was easier just to push it down and pretend it didn't exist. And when that negative or shadow stuff, the trauma tried to come to the light, it was like, nope, we're not going to do that. And you moved on. And unfortunately, that was almost like slapping your childhood self in the face. It was like, this is something I really need to talk to you about. And it's almost being relayed to me as like the child version of you needed to have a talk with the adult version, because there's deep-seated fear and anxiety or dread, or I'm hearing abandonment, fear of abandonment, that it's almost like you kind of took on this me against the world thing in adulthood. And don't get me wrong, in some ways it felt like it was working for you because you were achieving success in certain areas of your life. But in certain areas where you were lacking, it was very much tied to needing to shine light on the shadow and look back on things that, again, they were pushed down and down and down. And like, they're still in there though. So with Pluto, it's like we're going down to the depths and cathartically clearing it out. You're going through a huge period of transition, grief work. I see a lot of necessary tears, and like, you know how they say like when you're on like an exercise program, it's like sweat is weakness leaving the body. I don't know if I love that, but like I get it too. Like that kind of, I get it. I get why people say that. There's something about like tears leaving the body. It has to do with loving oneself. And maybe that's a clunky way of phrasing it, but there is something about that release, especially with the water, right? Like the sweat, the tears, that's the emotion, the emotional pain leaving the body. And again, it's like, it's allowing it out. It's allowing it to the surface. It's allowing us to like shine light on it so we can look at it and choose what we do with it. A lot of you, it's like, this doesn't necessarily have to be the way you turn career-wise, but some of you are like, I'm hearing the word ancient, like ancient spiritual healers. You have a gift of healing, and maybe for some of you it's with your words, it's with your actions, it's like your love language is you do things because you want other people to heal. But it's almost like you need to take a drink of that medicine yourself. You need to offer that cup to yourself a little bit more, because for some of you, you've sacrificed yourself. You've completely negated or overlooked your own needs to be of service to others. This is particularly if you have strong Virgo in your chart. And yeah, I think the tides are turning, and the universe is saying like, it's time to take care of you now, Capricorn. So what do you need to leave behind? What is holding you back? It's funny, you have some very strong cards here that I do like. I get this message from my Capricorns quite a bit. And so there must be something to it, because I can't necessarily confirm or deny that. I don't know a lot of Capricorns who actively speak this truth, but I'm assuming there must be something to it, is this idea of having to be the adult or be the mature one in a relationship with your own parent, and having to step up and adhere to rules or take on certain responsibilities like well beyond your age or capacity. There's something about the lost child that never really got to experience childhood, and it's almost like you're going back to right that wrong. It's like, again, having conversations with your inner child, or spending time around nieces, nephews, cousins, maybe having your own kids. I don't know. For some of you, maybe taking on some sort of role, or even like volunteering, like Boys and Girls Club. There is something about honoring the child and honoring the children, and trying to make up for lost time. But again, it is kind of this message of, by doing it for other children, it's going to help heal me. And I think that's beautiful and that's good. But the universe is saying, yeah, but what about you? What about your inner child? Some of you need to look through old photo albums and choose some of your favorite photos of you as a child, if you have access to those, right? And it has to do with like hanging them around your house. It's a reminder to check in with yourself on a more, I mean, juvenile level, but I mean that in a way of like, does it make you happy? Does it bring you joy? Do you see magic in this opportunity? Because if not, then why are we doing it? Like, what's the point? Some of you may need to release a Scorpio that you've been dating because it feels like they burn you, or it feels like, here's the thing. Again, it's not about grudges or resentment or holding them at fault for everything. You guys connected for a karmic purpose. It was very important, but they're being shown here as fire energy, which is like trial by fire, or something about the initiation, the embers, like you had to get burned by this in order to wake up and get motivated to do something new, or to, again, shine light with that fire, the recognition of stuff in yourself that needed to be healed. It almost to me is saying you have to drop the mask, because there's been this put on, there's been this, again, hiding of vulnerability, there's been this, I don't need anybody, or I don't know, something about appearing very tough and all, having it all together. And the universe is saying you don't have to pretend like you do, because like revelation, nobody does. Like we're all just coming at this doing our best. But I think you're also, by not showing up as your authentic self and being vulnerable and allowing people to see the tender, intimate, vulnerable side of you, you're denying yourself the connection and the gift of friendships, of mentors, of people who can bring the good stuff and the bad stuff out of you and be like, yeah, let's sort through this together. Again, something about the idea of a community or a support group of some kind. For some, I said this to another sign too. It's coming up again, joining a group where it's like, parents of addicts or parents of, or I don't know, like fill in the blank, people who have gone through some similar tragedy or circumstance, or it could be anything, big or small, something that you feel has held you back in life and maybe you're struggling to quote unquote heal it in yourself. The universe is like handing you the key. It's like, there's a door here, but you have to unlock it and find your people. Are you willing to do that? Or are you going to keep yourself locked out from, again, what could be a really beautiful, healing, cathartic experience? Something about education and higher wisdom is what you're being asked to go through. Psychological breakthroughs are on the horizon for you, and it's going to be helpful. We don't have to fear Pluto here. We shouldn't fear Pluto anyway. I mean, Pluto ultimately wants death and rebirth, right? But both simultaneously. It's not one extreme or the other, even though Pluto does work in extremes. But again, they work together in that extreme, if that makes sense. This to me speaks a lot about psychological research, rewiring your brain, rewiring your nervous system. Again, going through major healing and transformation. Some of you are going on like a spiritual trip or spiritual journey that involves a lot of travel, connecting with someone from a foreign background to you, but that message also has to do with this idea of like the twin that appears in your life, or what feels like could have been a sibling. It's like you guys have very similar upbringings or circumstances, even though for most of you, it's not someone who's in your bloodline though. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a soulmate. I mean, I guess I would be, but not necessarily in a romantic sense. It's like you meet someone you were meant to meet, and it's like you both are an angel in disguise for each other, because you help support, you help carry, you help initiate, you help nurture some sort of connection that is mutually beneficial and healing. Wow, this feels like deep. This feels deep. All right, we're going to do a new spread for you, Capricorn. Oh, okay. What else for Capricorn? What else can we tell my Capricorns? The name Lily might be, I'm saying that because of Lilith. Lily might be a significant name for one or two of you. That, again, that could be someone in your family. That could be a friend. That could be somebody you meet. That could be someone's last name. If not that, it's a symbolic. Maybe you have them growing, I don't know, in your yard. Do lilies grow in your yard? I don't know. Somebody gives you a lily, or you have a sticker of a lily on something, or I don't know, I'm hearing something about a mailbox. I have no idea what that is, you guys, but it's a confirmation for one or two of you, something about a lily. lily pad, I don't know, frogs. I have no idea. All right, let's connect with either a new group of Capricorn or at minimum a new message, something else that needs to be relayed if they're wondering about money, love, finances, anything a little bit more straightforward, because that felt very spiritual. All right, nostalgia. All right. Yeah. Some of you are contemplating going back home, whatever that means. Again, it could be reconnecting with a family member who you are out of touch with. It could be reconnecting with an old flame, an old romance, and you quite literally you have the card of crossroads. So it may feel like you have like 3 cards for me that are indicating going back to the past, revisiting the past. Don't get me wrong, I am striving for a new message, but I can already tell this is related to some of the stuff we've already said. Swing. I'm here. Okay, interesting. Sometimes I get songs and I'm like, really? You're going to make me say that, Spirit? Like, I'm hearing the song Swing Swing by All American Rejects. You know the one. You know the one. Look it up. I think it does have to do with an ex or feeling like somebody put you through the ringer, feeling a little bit heartbroken, feeling like you need to heal some stuff. And for some of you, rather than taking it on as this emotional burden of, oh, they've rejected me and life is over and I'm never going to have them back. Some of you are like, you know what? No, like, I really like this person. And there almost is like a bravery and a courage to, rather than just completely detaching and like blocking them, because it wouldn't be coming from a good place. It would be like, I love them, but I also hate them. It's almost like you're changing the narrative to be like, even if they don't love me back, I still acknowledge and admit that I had love for them, and I still do, and I always will, because I'm grateful for the connection, even if it didn't work out in the way I had thought, because you know what? It taught me something. So it's almost like acknowledging something that maybe you used to view as very painful, or again, have a little bit of like feeling some type of way about something or someone. It could even be, something that didn't work out work-wise or career-wise. There's again, like an awakening or an elevated perspective on it of like, oh, I see what happened there. Like, had I not met that person, had it not jiggered that feeling or that emotion in me, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so there's a sense of gratitude that it even happened. Some of you struggled with a person in your life who had a lot of addiction issues. In any sense of the word, drugs, alcohol, food, shopping addiction, sex addiction, whatever it is. I'm hearing like too many cooks in the kitchen. It's almost like there were too many people trying to fix this person or influence them, hold power over them. But it's almost like I'm hearing you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I think for some of you, again, maybe you had to learn the hard way, or you intuitively knew the best way I can help this person is to remove myself from their life so that I'm one less thing that they have to figure out and think about. Ooh, gosh, that feels really heavy. That feels like some of you needed to hear that. And I think some of you with that Neptune energy that came up earlier, there's a feeling of guilt. Like, did I leave them during their time of need? I don't think you did it with coldness in your heart. I think there, again, like bittersweet, I'm seeing tears. There was just this idea that, I'm sure we met for a reason, but me being in their life is only adding complicated emotions and feelings, like they're trying to sort through some personal stuff. And so there was kind of like this, maybe not bittersweet, but this, like, I know I need to release this, and it's very selfless because I still want to be with this person. I still want to be by their side, holding their hand, coaching them through this. But ultimately, this isn't really my territory. Like, I think you left the lines of communication open. Like, I don't know if it's like, I'm here if you need me, but some of you, it's like you just kind of knew like there had to be a boundary. And I think there was a lot of opinions and, again, influences from family around them that you didn't necessarily agree with, and it didn't feel like you had a vote in the matter, or it didn't feel like you had a choice. And the thing is, I think you acknowledge that maybe your vote wasn't super important, but I think you also question the people around who were like wielding power or trying to impose their influence on this person, because I think you didn't think that was what they needed either. And so again, there was just like this, I don't like what's happening, but I know that the best thing for this person is for me to step away. I'm hearing selfless. Again, like that sacrificial Neptune energy. But I do think you still think about this person. It's possible this person may resurface in your life. And I am going to say like a healed or a changed person. This is probably something that you have been out of for maybe 5 years. I'm hearing the word 5. So 5 years, 5 months. I don't think 5 weeks would be enough, right? But there is major changes and I'm hearing like shaking under the waters or shaking under the earth. It's sort of like you feel the rumblings of change, but it hasn't necessarily appeared to you yet. But something is coming through. Something is coming out the other end of like what was a very dark tunnel. Like you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or this person is. This could have been someone that you knew in childhood, Capricorn, and it doesn't mean that you were romantically involved with them. It could have been a friend who had a really difficult time with substance abuse and drug abuse, and it's possible you lent them money and they didn't pay you back, or they may have taken some possessions from you. And again, like the way you handled it, you showed up in a really high vibe way for yourself, knowing that that was going to help them. There was just like, I need to remove myself from the situation because that's all I can do. And I think you knew that was doing right by the universe too. And because of that high vibrational reaction, there is something about this narrative is not done. There's going to be more closure or reinvigoration, or there's going to be some sort of completion or clarity on the subject. And some of you don't believe that. You're like, I'm never going to see that person again. How is that possible? You'd be surprised. The universe is manifesting something where you guys are going to come back together. You have all these heavy messages, Capricorn. Maybe heavy isn't the right word, but this isn't like, typical love money readings. Yeah, there's some sort of artifact you have from them. There's some sort of totem or a picture that you still have that is very accessible to you. It's not like hidden away in a book somewhere. Or if it is, you happen upon it in the next couple weeks, and there's like a flood of memories coming back, and there's like I'm sort of getting like, I wonder whatever happened to that person. Because again, I don't think you guys have been in touch for quite a while. So some of you are, in terms of shadow side energy, you need to let go of the competition. You need to look at people who are alongside you in the game, whatever that means to you. Look at them, or look to them as your allies, as your counterparts, as your support team, as your cheerleaders, as you guys it's almost like football energy. It's like you're all individuals, but when you come together, you make it work. And so this is probably having to do with your working career. I'm not saying you're going to love everybody on your team, but there is a need to rise above sort of the drama and the cattiness and the bitter energy. And know that if someone is operating from a lower vibration, all the more reason to show them compassion and not look at them as your enemy. Because ultimately, the universe is bringing you all together to learn valuable lessons from each other. And for some of you, that's very hard. But again, it's bringing up the shadow side stuff that it's so much easier sometimes to push it down until it's not, until you reach a breaking point and you're like, something's got to change here. So something with a coworker is going to heal. It's going to mend. It's going to repair. But it is going to take, I'm hearing humble. Being in the energy of being humble, owning your mistakes, admitting to your faults, but also not scolding yourself because of that. It's almost like, again, we're all only human. Some days we have good days and we have bad days. Some days we react from an emotional place, and then we step back and we're like, ooh, I could have done that better. There may be an apology coming to you or an explanation of why somebody did something. And I think you need to view this as, it took this person a lot of courage to step up to you and say that, and they're putting themselves in a very vulnerable position. So just honor that and move through that with good intentions, however you see fit, right? Again, I'm not saying you have to pretend to be something you're not, but I think compassion and understanding would be quite helpful to you. There is this idea too of stop playing games, and I don't really know what that's in reference to, but some of you will already know, and for a lot of you it has to do with your dating life, this playing hard to get, like you want to be the chasee and not the chaser, and like, well, they did this, so they have to reach out to me first. The universe is like, stop playing games. If you really love this person, why are you doing that? Yeah, some of you are ascending into a much higher level on your spiritual journey. Some of you, it feels like you're getting revelations through meditation. Seeing images in clouds, or this is a very unusual message, but I'm getting like Neptune stuff. So images are coming to you. It's like intuitive psychic downloads are coming to you in the form and shapes of clouds, but also things that are shapeless, kind of untangible. It's like if you take a bubble bath and you let the tub drain, it's like the bubbles left are showing you something. It could even be through like tea leaf readings, like what the remnants of what's in your cup. It's like, oh man, that looks just like this. Those are signs and symbols from the universe, and you should pay attention to those. All right, last but not least, anything else that I missed that we can clarify with the tarot? Yeah, someone from your childhood is reaching out to you or may connect with you on Facebook. Someone who like you didn't even realize they knew who you were. It's like someone from high school or junior high, and you're like, it's all, you may even have to be like, wait, that name is so familiar. How do I know them? And you're like, oh shit, like we were in the 6th grade talent show together. Like it's something like that. That's cute though. That's a nice message. Some of you, confirmations about working at a museum or quite literally a kitchen, a bar, getting into the restaurant industry. The universe says reach high, go for it. Yeah, don't give up on your dreams there. Some of you are going to have a profound experience visiting a museum, something to do with your family lineage or history, but it's weird. I'm hearing architecture. Like some of you, there's like old blueprints of something that like your great grandfather helped commission or build, or there's something about visiting the work of something that a relative did many years ago, like, 80, 90, 100 years ago. And there's something just really beautiful. You have like I don't know if awakening is too big of a word, but there's something there for that. Okay, anyway. Love. Tell me about love, Capricorn. Capricorn's love life. Another Capricorn, or again, somebody who may have had a bit of a struggle. Addiction issues, again, as we mentioned, someone who really struggles with depression and anxiety. Sorry, I'm hearing something about obsession. It could be highlighting your own areas in a connection where it's not saying it's a bad connection, but it does, I'm hearing simmer. It does bring up sometimes feelings of obsession and not being able to let go of a connection. There could be some romantic connection where it feels like it has a hold on you, and the universe is just saying, why do you think that is? You need to be really like self-reflexive and again asking the greater questions why. I do think there's a hermit who's a hermit. That's hilarious, but I'm going to keep with that. A hermit, someone who's in hermit mode. I think there's a Virgo who still watches you. I think there's a Virgo who still holds a lot of warmth and love in their heart for you. I think this person doesn't know how to contact you, or they feel like they've missed out on a connection with you. But I do think in some capacity you are their wish. And you may not hold this person in the highest regard. You may have, there's a little bit of like hostility or resentment towards them because they weren't able to show up for you when it really mattered. And again, that had a lot less to do with you and how they felt about you. That had a lot to do with them and where they were at on their path. So again, forgiveness, compassion is coming through for you in your romantic life. Also, issues with father figures, releasing and letting go of resentment, or a father who was mentally, verbally, psychologically abusive. That may have to do with you. It may have to do with someone else in your life. There may be secrets about a father figure that when they come to light, it takes you a minute to kind of catch your breath because something happened, and it was a lot. For a lot of you, this has to do with your person. Your person grew up in not a great household. And it kind of takes you aback to hear it, but when you do and process the information, you come at this person in a new way with more understanding and lenience and a capacity to love them. Because you just have a greater understanding of why they operate the way that they do. For some of you, a Taurus is taking the light in your romantic life. Again, there's a lot of like either miscommunication or jumping to conclusions that they've moved on without you, or that there was someone else at play. There wasn't. There was... Yeah, there was an ending with someone, and it's coming back around to like to see if you take the bait again, because they're coming with a better offer, but they still have a lot going on in their life, like karmic relationships, you know, lovers, Six of Cups. They do want to have a conversation with you, and again, that could be a similar message too of a breakthrough conversation. For some of you, you may be choosing to leave a marriage because it just feels like it's holding you back. It's not contributing anything positive to your life anymore. So you're taking great strides. Again, it involves bravery, it involves courage, it involves self-respect to get out of a marriage that you just simply weren't happy in. And a lot of you are coming to that conclusion. You might not be there yet, but I think you're really taking stock of your life, what you value, who you value, and what kind of life you want to live moving forward. It's a big time for changes. Yeah, again, there's something about the past that is coming back. Someone who wasn't able to let their guard down with you, that's changing. That's changing. Okay, Capricorn. Whew, I'm going to have to sage. I'm like in it. I'm going to have to sage and shower after this reading because this was heavy. Thanks for showing up for me today. I do appreciate you guys. Show me some love and hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a positive comment, leave an emoji. That helps this reading find a greater audience, gets the message out to those who want to hear it or need to hear it, and it helps my channel grow, right? That's ultimately what I'm doing here. What else do I need to tell you? If you're not already subscribed, I would invite you to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you'll be alerted when I post my readings. If you want more content, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And that's it. I'm the Intuitive Teacup, and I'll see you soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.